Falsely thoughts, race, life's a twisted place. No time to erase.
D is Jack. Is that your name?
Yeah, my name is just Jack Bob.
Jack. How's it going on, Jack? Any type of religious tradition?
I'm a Christian.
All right, bro. So let's go ahead and talk. We got 25 minutes on the clock. I think I have better morals than Yahweh, and I think you have better morals than Yahweh. You disagree?
Yeah, so what is securing like so when you say you have better morals, like what do you mean by morals exactly? Like just like ethics? Like
Yes.
okay, so um let me ask you a question. Is the Abrahamic God evil?
Yes.
By what standard?
He says he is.
Okay, if you're gonna troll me, then I'll just leave. Like I wanna have an honest conversation. I don't wanna be trolled, okay? So by what standard is the Abrahamic God evil again?
He said he created evil. He said he is. By his own standard, he's evil.
Yeah, so that doesn't mean like moral evil. He's not talking about moral evil in that verse. You're talking about Isaiah chapter 45, verse 7, right?
Yeah, he said that he's evil. So I'm gonna go by what he says.
No, it doesn't say that
Yes.
he's evil because he created calamity. That verse means calamity. Okay, do you know what the Hebrew word ra is?
I don't care about that. The thing is, he said that I create good and create evil. So
In
if he
other
created evil,
translations,
does that not mean that it came from him?
it means calamity.
Right. So calamity came from him.
Yeah, do you know what calamity means?
Yeah. There's like destruction, chaos, etc.
It's just God's judgment. So God has included the unpleasantries in life as a
Oh wait. So
constant.
you wait. There's a
Are
different
you gonna
definition
cut
of
me off,
calamity.
sir?
There's a different definition of calamity than what we all know.
Yeah. So when we say calamity, that's just referring to God's judgment and
That's not what the
conclusion.
definition of calamity
I didn't
is.
say
You're
that's what
making that up.
no, that's you're not listening. Focus. I'm not
No,
saying that.
I'm listening to you, but you're
Okay.
saying that when
Okay.
you say calamity, it means this thing, but that's not what
No,
we
you're
know
not
as calamity.
understanding. That's not what
Hold,
I'm
hold on,
saying.
but Jack, that's clearly what you said. You said that it says calamity, and then you said calamity means God's judgment. And I
Because
said,
that's
okay. I said, hold on. I said, okay, cool.
all right,
But
bro.
you're making up a definition at that point. You're just,
Can
I
you
mean,
like
all definitions are made up. I'll give you
can
that.
I explain
But that's
myself or
not.
are you gonna keep on speaking?
I'll let you explain yourself. Give me a second. It's cool that if you're gonna come up with your own definition of it,
It's like
cool.
I'm not coming up.
However, that's not the calamity that we all understand. So if it's calamity just means God's judgment, so when it says evil in the Bible, calamity in the Bible, it doesn't mean what we all know what it means. It means something completely different.
No, what I'm listen, before you went on a tirade, you need to first let me explain myself because you didn't understand deep enough. So what I'm saying is
Going off what you said, but go ahead, bro.
no, when the Bible uses the word calamity, it's referring
Mhm.
to God's judgment. Like God doing an action, like that's God judging, like God flooding, that's God judging the world. When he flooded the earth, that's him
Mhm.
judging the world. Like
Okay,
that's his
cool,
calamity. Like he's bringing upon calamity. That's what
cool.
I'm
That's
talking
evil.
about.
Cool, that's evil.
By what standard?
By what standard? By my own,
By what?
by my own, and by his own as well.
Okay, so
By his own as well. You know why? Is by his own as well because then he say that the shedding of innocent blood is detestable.
yeah, humans are not innocent in the Christian worldview.
Okay, the Christian worldview is shitty then
By what standard?
by my own because
Okay,
what makes
then it's
babies
just your
innocent? I mean,
opinion.
what makes babies evil?
They're humans.
Just simply being human doesn't make you evil.
I don't make the rules, bro. I just deliver them. So
Okay, who made the rules?
this is God's word.
Can you show me that God's word is actually true?
Can I show you that God's word isn't necessarily true? Like, what do you
Yes.
mean by that?
What do you mean? What I mean? Can you show me that this Bible is necessarily true and what we should follow for the rest of our lives, and that it came from an actual deity? Can you actually show me that?
Are you just asking me to prove that the Christian God exists?
Yes.
I mean, we have a lot of evidence that points towards his existence.
Like what?
But like, first, I would need to like get your standard of proof because if you don't even have a standard of proof, then there's no point in me trying to do that.
Something that's empirical, testable, and can be replicated.
How the hell can you test God?
Exactly. So we
Okay,
have no evidence, do we?
okay. So are you inventing empiricism, sir? Are you
What?
saying that we can? Are you saying that we can only accept something to be true, like if we can verify it through our sense datum?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So you know, empiricism is self-refuting. It's a self-refuting position
How?
because there's no empirical methodology to show that that proposition is like is is to be reckoned as truth. I mean,
What
if
does
you
that
can give it
mean? Repeat that again.
the proposition, right?
Hmm.
Um, that empiricism is true. There is no empirical methodology that can prove that proposition is true. So it's a self-refuting position.
No, not really, because empiricism is the only thing that we can use to actually show things to be true. What other method do you have?
Yeah. So I believe that truth is independent of the mind. So I don't believe that
Mhm.
I don't believe that we can only know something to be true if it comes ultimately from our sense datum. Because I
Okay.
believe,
What method do you have to show that that is another thing?
yeah, I believe that truth is derivative or is reflective of God's nature.
And how do you show that to be true?
I mean, you're asking me to prove the Christian God, but I need a standard of proof because if you can't give me a standard of proof, then there's no point in me trying to do that.
That's not what that's not what I'm asking now. I'm asking you how do you show your method to be the correct one?
How do I show my method to be the correct one?
Yes, because like you're saying that we can't use our senses, we can't use sense data.
I
I
didn't say
understand.
that.
Wait,
I
hold
never
on.
said that.
I understand. You just said that that empiricism is self-refuting because we can't use our sense data.
No, because that's not what I'm saying. So the position empiricism is the position that we can only know something to be true if it can be verified through our sense datum. I
Yeah,
never said that
because
we could not use our sense datum. I never said that. You
right,
mischaracterized
because
my argument.
our sense datum is the only thing that we can use. If you have another method, what is it? And you just said me that God is the method of truth, or God is the, I'm sorry, I did paraphrase, but you know what you had said before. Cool. How do you show that to be true then without using our sense data? Because you said that's it'll be I'm refuting at that point.
No, it would be empirically okay, so do you know what empirical like circularity is?
Okay, allow me to understand. You said that for you to understand truth, correct me if I'm wrong, for truth is derivative of God. Is that what you said?
Yeah, ultimately we derive truth from
All right.
God.
Ultimately, we derive truth from God. Okay. So what I'm saying is, how do you show that to be true without using our sense datum? Because you said sense datum is self-refuting. So how do
Oh,
we show God is the derivative of the truth without using our senses?
oh, it's self-authenticating.
What does that mean?
It's self-authenticated by God.
What does that mean?
Like it's self-authenticated.
You're just repeating yourself. What exactly does that mean? You're saying that it's true that God is the truth because God is the truth because it's true.
Yeah, it's circularity. It's circular.
You can't use that, bro. That's circular logic. That's complete. That's
No, not all circular reasoning is fallacious. Do you object to like
no. No.
epistemological circular principles?
What I'm saying is about your position. Is that there is no way for us to actually verify that. You're just saying that it's true because you said so.
Yeah, because it's self-authenticated.
You're just saying that because you said so. That how do we determine anything at that point?
No, not because I said so, but because it's self-authenticating.
How do you know that?
Because truth is derivative of God's
How do you
nature.
know that?
Because that is what He has ordained. Because
How
that
do
is
you know that?
because He revealed it.
Where? Where did he reveal it? Where?
He revealed it in creation and
What
through the
creation?
Bible.
In the Bible?
Yeah, the universe is God's
And
creation.
how do we know that the Bible is true? How do you know the universe is God's creation? I can just simply say that the universe is the creation
It's
of Olodumare. You believe me that the creation is the creation of Olodumare?
who's that?
Olodumare is the god of West African voodoo. He's the
Well,
ultimate god.
well, that's false.
Why is that false and Yahweh's true?
Because the Christian God is the only God that can exist. Because his property set is indispensable and it's necessary for truth value.
So is Olodumare.
No, it's not.
Yes, it
His
is.
property. Okay,
You don't even know what Olodumare is. How can you tell me?
define his property set.
Olodumare has all the properties of your god, except he's black.
Oh, is he dependent or is he independent?
What do you mean dependent or independent of what?
Is he material or is he immaterial?
He's completely immaterial. He's everything.
He's everything.
He's everything and he's nothing at the same time, just like yours.
That's contradictory.
No, it's not, because yours is everything and nothing at the same time.
How so?
Isn't your God outside of space and time?
He's independent
of space and time. So he's outside of space, outside of time. So he's immaterial and material at the same time.
No, wait, what? No, I don't think you understand. So
No,
when you say
hold on. Do you define God as being outside of space and time?
God is in the, I don't know. I don't hold to the position that God is timeless. I believe that time exists as a part of God's nature.
So time is a part of God. Time is a part of God nature. Is time material or immaterial?
No, time is not like tangible. You can't touch time. No.
Agreed. Agreed. So so time is immaterial. So that means your God is immaterial. But is God omnipresent? Is he everywhere?
When we say that God is omnipresent, we just mean that he is the sustainer. Like he's omnipresent in the way that he is the sustainer of all things. Like we don't say God is omnipresent and like he exists in like a peanut butter spread.
Okay, he's he's the sustainer of all things. If he's the sustainer of all things, he's the sustainer of peanut butter bread as well. Then
Yeah. So
okay, so he's
doesn't-
everywhere. So he's everywhere and everything, and then he's nothing at the same time. He's immaterial.
No, I don't agree that God is everywhere. Like that's not. We're not
If he's
pantheistic.
everywhere, then he can't be omnipresent.
Yeah, so you need to understand what we mean when we say God is omnipresent. We mean that he is the sustainer of all things.
So he's everywhere.
Not necessarily.
He can't be the sustainer of all things if he's not everywhere, bro.
Yeah, that's not okay. No, yeah, he can actually.
Okay, so he can be everywhere and nowhere at the same time.
You don't know because that's not what we mean by omnipresence.
So what do you mean by omnipresence? Because you just said that omnipresence means that he's the sustainer of everything. How can he be the sustainer of everything and not be everywhere?
Because without God, nothing can be anything. Like it.
So he's everywhere.
No, because God is absolute. Because God cannot fail to exist, so therefore He is the sustainer of all things.
So he's everywhere.
No, He's not everywhere.
So if he's not everywhere, how can he sustain everything and not be everywhere?
Because without God, the universe would collapse on itself.
So he has to be everywhere.
No, not necessarily.
Necessarily, because he's a sustainer of all things.
No, it doesn't work like that, buddy.
So what the hell is it, bro? Like this is the thing this is the ridiculous that we get
That's
into.
because
You're saying that he has to sustain everything, but he doesn't need to be everywhere in order to sustain everything.
Listen, just because you're in a state of confusion, it does not mean that
I'm in a state of confusion because what you're describing is completely confusing. How can something sustain everything and not be everywhere?
You need to understand what we mean when we say that God is omnipresent.
We already been through this. What you mean is that he's the sustainer of all things. I understand that.
This is
what that necessarily means is that if he's the sustainer of all things, he has to necessarily be everywhere. But you said he can't. He doesn't have to be. Okay, so if he's not everywhere, how exactly is he? If he's not everywhere, how exactly does he sustain all things if he's not everywhere?
Because God is.
How does he sustain these things if he's not there?
Your question because God is absolutely necessary for existence.
And how do you know that?
Because he is the independent first cause.
And how do you know that?
Like he's the creator of everything. So without the creator, nothing can exist.
And how do you know that?
Because like okay, so for example, like time, space, and matter all exist. Like would you say that we are like we exist like with contingency upon time, space, and matter?
Say that again.
Would you say that humans exist with contingency upon time, space, and matter?
Like it's necessary that we have time, space, and matter in order to yeah, I can accept that. Yeah.
Okay, so who created time, space, and matter?
Nothing. Time cannot be created.
No, in the Christian worldview, who created?
Yeah, okay, in the Christian worldview, but you asked me, I said that nothing can create time. Time has always existed.
But I'm speaking from my worldview. So you're asking me why can't things exist without God? I'm saying because without the creator of these things cannot exist because God is absolutely necessary. Like, for example, time exists as a part of God's nature.
Time can't be created.
Yeah, it wasn't created. It has always existed. Time exists as a part of God's nature, right?
Okay, so time has always existed, but you're simply describing time as God itself.
It's a part of God's nature.
Yeah. Okay, how do you know that time is a part of God's nature?
This is just a belief that I hold to.
Okay, faith is not a reliable pathway to truth, bro. So how would you even demonstrate this?
You know, I could say the same about you, right? Like, do you know what epistemology is?
I know what epistemology is. I understand what epistemology is, but that's not an answer to my question. How do we even demonstrate what you're saying?
What do you mean? Like, how would you be able to demonstrate it?
What you're saying? You're saying that that time is a part of God's nature, and I asked you how you know that, you say it's something that you just believe. That's fine, but my contention is that faith is not a
Oh
pathway to
no, I
truth.
can demonstrate. Okay, so I can demonstrate that God's a part. Okay, so would you say that God is like in your worldview, like, or like, if, like, for example, like people would define time as like the rate of change or like subsequent moments, right?
Hmm.
Um, Meaning that like a moment follows after another moment. But in the Genesis story, there was a first moment. So if you believe that time is like the rate of change, and like time is like this like subsequent moments, there was a first moment. So therefore, that first moment had to be timeless, which is impossible. So that's why I hold to the identification view of time, which is like time exists as a part of God's nature.
Okay, I hold that the view that that time cannot be created. Time has always been a thing. There was no
Yeah,
first moment.
I agree with you.
Okay, so if there was no first moment, has always been a
No,
thing.
there was a
And
first. There was a first moment
no, there
for
wasn't. Time
humans.
has always been a thing. There was no first moment.
No, like for God, time has always been a thing, but not for humans.
No, like and because in no, it's because okay, so you said for God, time has never wait. So for God, there's never been a first moment. So
Listen,
he's an infinite
listen.
regress. Hold on. So God
No,
is an infinite regress.
no, he has
If
always
God is an
existed.
infinite regress, how
He's
come
not
we
an
just can't
infinite
apply that to the
regress.
universe?
He's not an infinite regress. He's
He's
always
always
existed.
existed. So he's an infinite regress. So if
No,
God is an infinite regress, why can't the universe also be an infinite regress?
he's not. God is not an infinite regress,
Because
bro.
he's always existed. That's an infinite regress.
What is regressing? I don't understand.
What do you mean what is regressing? God is regressing because you said that God never had a first moment. He's
No,
always just been.
in order to say that something has an infinite regression, it would imply a start. There was no start for
No,
God.
infinite regression means there is no start. That's what infinite regression means. Literally mean
No.
infinite
Okay, so how
regression
would you be
literally means there is no
regressing?
start. Hold on, listen to what I'm saying too. Infinite regression literally means there is no start. It just regresses into infinity. There's never been a start. There's never been an end. That's what
Yeah,
infinite regress literally means.
That's
So if
mathematically
so so
contradictory.
so not really. So infinite regress literally
What is
means
infinity minus
li-
infinity?
infinity. Infinite regress
Okay, how is it
literally
not mathematically contradictory?
okay. No. So it's an infinite regress.
There
That's
is
not
no
mathematically
infinite.
contradictory if you can do it in math. So if
No,
infinite regress literally means that is there is no beginning, and you just said God has no beginning. So God Himself is an infinite regress. So what I'm asking you is, if you're applying the standard that God is an infinite regress, why can't the universe also be an infinite regress?
I don't believe that.
We haven't even gotten to any of these yet. You're just doing the whole precept argument, which was just shit in the first place.
No,
We haven't even gotten to these yet.
this is not. Well, you don't have a standard. You
Yeah,
don't
I
have.
do.
Okay, so by what standard is God evil?
By the fact and in my standard, the what I predict as good or bad or a good or evil is if evil has like extremely negative consequences on things like well-being, things like equality, and things like consequences, things that have negative or extremely negative consequences, extremely harmful to human well-being and extremely harmful to equality, I dictate as evil. Things
Okay,
like the R word, things like slavery, things like genocide,
yeah.
these are all have negative consequences and all have negative consequences on self-harm and take away equality. God has ordered or caused all of these.
Okay, so would you say that like the truth is like, or like humans decide what is true necessarily?
That doesn't matter. Can you explain? Can you
No,
go ahead
I
and
need to
respond to
get
what I said?
your view on this, or we can have a conversation.
Yeah, we can. I just gave you what my standard was on morality and what's my standard was on
Okay,
good and
so
evil, and I told you what it was, and I told you that God ordered or caused these, so that's why I view them as evil, and that's why I view that I have better
okay,
morals than Yahweh, and you have better morals than Yahweh, because
so
you
does
will
your
not enslave
mind?
anybody.
Okay, so does your mind? So does your mind provide you with the ability to like perceive or like create absolute truth, or is it or is it an opinion?
I didn't get what you said. Say that one more time, please.
Like, is what you're saying, like, when you say the proposition that God is evil, is
Hmm.
that proposition like absolutely true, or is it an opinion?
Oh, just opinion of mine.
Okay, so why would so like, who cares if you think that God is evil? It's not necessarily true. Like, it's just your opinion. I can have
So
an
what you talking to
opinion.
me for?
Um, I'm just trying to like relay that message to you. Like you
Cool.
say,
So do you disagree with me?
yeah, I disagree.
Why?
Yeah, because God cannot do evil.
Okay, did
It's
God order
impossible.
people to R word? Or did he cause R word?
No, so
Yeah,
that's
he did.
not. No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did.
No, that's not what that
Yeah, he did.
means. You just don't understand. Like,
No, God caused it.
yeah, so you just don't.
Do you remember the story of when David had what was his name? When David had sex with Bathsheba, and then he sent the Uriah the Hittite to die in battle.
Are
Remember
you
that story,
talking
right?
about the Genesis story?
I'm talking about David. David's not in Genesis. He's in Samuel.
Oh, okay. Well,
Do you remember the
no.
story of David when he had sex with the Bathsheba, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? You remember that story?
I believe I heard this yesterday.
Okay,
Actually,
great. In that story, David sent Uriah the Hittite to die in battle. God Yahweh didn't like that. I agree with Yahweh. That was pretty fucked up of David. So for Yahweh to punish David, he says that he's going to cause his calamity in his house, and his sons will kidnap his wives and sleep with them on top of the temple in front of all of Israel. The women's consent was not taken into consideration here. David's son Absalom just took his wives and his concubines and raped them in front of all of Israel. And then in the Bible, it said that God was causing this in broad daylight.
okay. So where does it say that they're raped?
It says that Absalom took his wives. They had no choice. There was no choice for the women here
Where does it say that?
in the Bible.
Okay, give me the verse where it says that the woman had no choice.
Wait a minute. So you're gonna say, hold on. So you're gonna add in things that are not in the Bible? Is that what you're gonna do?
No, you said that
Because
they
the
had
Bible
no.
doesn't mention them having a choice. It just said that his
Oh,
wives
so it
took.
doesn't. So it doesn't. So they did
It
have a
doesn't.
choice.
It does. Yeah. It doesn't say that they had a choice that they went with David. It said that they went with Absalom. It said that
Okay, so let me
Absalom
ask
took
you a
the
question.
wives. Absalom took the wives. There was no consent here.
Okay,
No
what does
consent
it
was
say?
mentioned at all.
Where does
It
it
said
say
that
that?
Absalom took his wives.
Okay,
Absalom took David's wives. No mention of consent, my guy.
how have you came to the conclusion that these women were not that it wasn't consensual? Have you done that?
Because the verses don't mention consent at
Okay,
all. It doesn't say
just
that the wives chose to go with them.
yeah. So just
So
because the
just because
verse.
the verse doesn't
All right,
mention it
can I
doesn't mean that
talk
it
to
didn't
you?
happen. Yeah, no,
Can I
I know
talk
because I
to
already know
you?
what you're gonna say. Just because the verse this doesn't don't say that they consented doesn't mean that they didn't consent. Can you find me how so that means you're adding things to the Bible because it doesn't
I'm
mention
not
consent.
adding nothing. You're adding stuff, not
No, I'm
me.
not. I literally said it didn't mention them having consent. It said that
Okay, so
Absalom
but
took
you're saying
David.
that it's
It said that
non-consensual.
Absalom took David's wives. No mention of consent, my guy,
Okay, so how'd you come to the conclusion that it was non-consensual then? If it
because
had
they
been
didn't mention any type of anything with consent. They didn't say the wives chose to go with them.
okay,
They said that Absalom took them.
so if it didn't, so if it doesn't mention that it's not that it's non-consensual, then how
Then
have
it's
you come to the
non-consensual.
yeah? Just because it doesn't mention it doesn't mean that it's
Doesn't mean it didn't
non-consensual.
happen. You're making excuses, bro. You're making excuses at this point.
Listen, sir, listen. Just because the verse never mentioned the woman consenting does not mean that it was non-consensual.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, for example, let
So
me.
then prove it was consensual. Can you give me a chapter or verse that proves it was consensual?
No, I'm not the one that's.
Exactly.
I'm not the one that's making any claims here, sir.
Yeah,
You're the one
because it
that's
was
making
not
all these
consensual.
claims.
Okay, let's
Okay,
read the verse. 2 Samuel 12:8-12. I gave you your master's house and your master's wives into your bosom and gave you the house of Israel and of Judah. And if that had been too little, I would have added much more. Why have you despised the word of the Lord to do evil in his sight? You have struck down Uriah the Hittite with the sword and have taken his wife to be your wife and have killed, unalived them in the sword of the Ammonites. This is God talking to David, or God talking to the prophet talking to David. Now, therefore, the sword shall never depart from your house, for you have despised me and taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be your wife. Again, this is God still talking. Thus says the Lord, I will raise up trouble against you from your own house. I will take your wives before your eyes and give them to your neighbor, and he shall lie with your wives in broad daylight. For you did it secretly, but I will do this thing, all of Israel, in broad daylight. There is nothing here about the wives choosing to go with these men. It says that the God is going to cause them, God is going to take them and give them to these men. There's no mention of consent here, my guy.
okay. So how have you came to the conclusion that it was non-consensual?
Because there's no consent mentioned here.
Okay, just because it doesn't mention it doesn't mean it was
Doesn't mean it didn't
non-consensual.
happen. Come on, bro. That's bullshit. You know what that is.
No, I don't actually.
Yeah, you do. It says
No, I
here that
don't.
God is going to take them and give them to somebody else. God is taking them and giving them to somebody else.
No,
Where's the
but
consent?
But the great part, though, you're saying
God
like,
is taking them and giving them to someone else. Where is the consent?
I don't believe these women.
It
were
literally
doing-
says here, thus the Lord, I will raise up trouble against you from within your own house. I will take your wives before your eyes and give them to your neighbor. God is taking the wives and give them to someone else. How do you get consent from that?
Okay, so since you made the claim that they're
Take means
great,
take, my man.
all right, man. So since you made the claim that these women are great, can you prove that it was non-consensual?
Yes, because God
Go
said
ahead.
that he's going to take them and give them to the neighbors. Take means take, my nigga.
Yeah. So when God is when God's saying when God is saying that he's going to take the woman, he's saying that he's going to take them and give them to the other men. But that doesn't have to do nothing with grape, though. You haven't got to that part yet.
How do you get consent from if I'm gonna take your wives, if I go to your house, take your sister and give her to somebody else, did I just allow her to get raped?
Remember, sir, we haven't got to the great part yet, sir.
Yeah, we have.
No,
It
we
already
haven't.
says that it already says I will take your wives before your eyes and give them to your neighbor, and he shall lie with your wives in broad daylight.
Okay, so how do you know that when the guy laid with the wife, it wasn't consensual? How do you know that?
Because God literally said that he's going to take them and give it to them to the others.
Yeah,
What
but
are
at that
you
point
talking about?
But at that point, we have not got to the great part, though. What are you not understanding? I can't.
Where's the consent here, man? Where's the consent? Where's the consent? Can you tell me where the consent is?
Bro, I'm not the one that's making any claims here.
Okay, yeah, you are. You said that this is consensual.
I never said that. I'm saying.
Oh, so
listen,
you admit that it's not consensual?
No, not at all. What I'm saying is, you're the one that's saying it is not consensual, but you
It
have no
is
proof of
because
that.
God, I literally read it to you. What do you mean?
Yeah. So where does it say that this is not consensual?
Where it says that I will take your wives before your eyes, and he shall lie with your wives in broad daylight.
Okay, so how do you
where it
know
says-
that when they laid together, it was not consensual? How do you know that?
Because God said he's going to take them and give them to somebody else. That's not that's not consent.
Yeah, but when God says he's going to take them, we have not got to the great part yet, sir.
Yes, lie with your wives in broad daylight, my guy. My guy.
So that's when we.
Where is consent if I just take something? If I snatch something out your hand, did you consent to me doing that?
You're skipping.
If I took something out your hand, did you consent to me because I took it out your hand?
You're skipping ahead.
Did I take some? Did you consent to me taking something out your hand? If you lay out your hand, I take it from you. Did you consent for me to take that? Did you consent to me?
When God took the woman, we have not gotten to the great part yet.
When God took the woman, the consent of the women is not mentioned. It is not there.
Okay,
how do you get consent?
To the conclusion that it was not consensual.
Because consent is not mentioned. The women choosing this is not in the verse.
Okay, so let's say I have a son, right, and I take him to a basketball gym.
He did not consent.
Yeah, but he said I wanted to go to the basketball gym, so I took.
Where did the women in this verse say that they want to lie with the men? Where does it say that?
No, that's not what I'm trying to. Okay.
Where in this verse does it say that the women wanted to lie with the men? Does it say that? It doesn't say that, right? Okay, so your analogy is disanalogous. Your son asked you to take him to the gym. If you just woke up your son and took him to the gym, he didn't consent.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that just because.
All right, bro. We got 30 more seconds, bro. What else you got?
Just because
you want to get to slavery?
Just because the Bible never.
You want to get to slavery?
Hold on. So just because the Bible never.
Do you want to get to slavery?
Does not mean that they didn't consent.
Do you want to get to slavery? Do you want to get to slavery?
Nah, I'm about to leave, bro.
All right, bro. Have a good day.
All right, bro.
All right, y'all. Keep liking the live. Keep sharing it. Keep liking the live. Keep sharing it, please.